Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network podcast. I am your host, Anthony Ragucci, and this is Replay, Relive, and Re-Experience, or as we like to call it, Re3 is where, you guessed it, we do all three of those things to our favorite video game franchises. In this edition of Re3, we'll be replaying, reliving, and re-experiencing the Halo franchise, starting with Halo Combat Evolved and ending with Halo 5 Guardians in anticipation for Halo Infinite. Here to go on Master Chief's saga with me, Chris Trio, Chris Geddes. Guys, thanks for joining me for another episode.
Duo.
We're back. The two Chris's
the Chris
and the
duo.
Gooch.
Do you want to think of a name right now to call yourself that's catchy with Chris in it?
I don't know. I can't. It's tough
Chris-
for me to
Chris
work
squared.
that quickly.
Chris squared.
Chris squared. Chris. Yeah. I don't know. I like the triple threat's pretty fun. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but that's just for you.
That's just for me. Yeah. I don't know. Chris. Yeah. Chris squared.
The Chris's.
Chris cubed.
You're not three.
That's true. I don't know. Well, there's Chris. There's the two Chris's and the Gooch. Just like the two balls in the Gooch. So it works out.
Valid point.
Yeah.
He's not spitting lies here. This is episode 11. We are going to be talking about the levels Gravemind and Uprising. So we hope you are playing along with us. This is going to be a juicy one. We got a lot of info dump here, especially right in the beginning. So let's jump into it. Synopsis of our level here. Gravemind is the 12th campaign level of Halo 2. It takes place within High Charity. Truth has the index, and you must get to him before he leaves for the control room of Delta Halo. As you travel through High Charity, you will experience the beginning of the Covenant Civil War.
Sorry.
You like doing that?
I really do. It's in my blood, to be honest.
Yeah, you're feeling it.
I am.
Trio's hype. Trio's
Dude,
hyped to
I'm not
hear
gonna lie,
the Gravemind fucking open his
It's amazing. You
his
hear the
bowels or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about this part.
What, when replaying?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to this person, this being. But let's continue.
Strangely enough, apart from the opening and ending cutscenes, there is no contact with Gravemind or the Flood. Also, the word Gravemind is not mentioned until 2 levels later in High Charity by Cortana. This is also the level where the energy sword appears most often and is one of only 4 missions where there are no human weapons. This is the first level in which you can use the brute shot and the blue plasma rifle, and as well as killing the brutes themselves. Master Chief begins to wake up and sees a red circle of lights on the ceiling of some underground area. He sees that he's being held aloft by a tentacle. He's brought towards the head of a massive creature, the Gravemind.
What is that?
Before we get into who that is, well, we're about to
get
get
right into it.
who
Yeah.
that is. That is the Gravemind. The Gravemind is the final stage in the life cycle of the Flood and is the ultimate hive mind of the Flood. It is a near omniscient creature with a complete control over all Flood life forms. A particular Gravemind is the secondary antagonist of Halo 2 and the main antagonist of Halo 3. This is that particular Gravemind. Gravemind starts out as a proto-Gravemind, if you guys remember.
That's what we saw on
Keys.
In Halo 1.
Yep.
After a proto-Gravemind has been created, nearby combat forms will continue to supply it with fresh bodies, allowing it to accumulate mass, increase in size, and gain more memories and intelligence from the consumed hosts. Eventually, the proto-Gravemind reaches a certain critical mass and becomes self-aware. Kind of creepy, but alright. This critical mass tends to be made up of thousands of bodies if it is using human-sized bodies as a measuring unit.
That's good to know.
Interesting.
So, I mean, if it was using hunter bodies, it'd probably be a little
Hunters are
less.
immune, so...
Well, I guess there's. Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Interesting. I forgot about that.
So, we're seeing Gravemind for the first time before I hit to the trivia. How you guys feeling about Gravemind?
Looks pretty...
Especially in the remaster.
Oh my God. He looks absolutely incredible. Swapping back and forth, they don't even look the same. Honestly, they look completely different.
That's what I was going to say. They look like 2 completely different creatures. And I think it's funny. I don't know how I guess I just didn't have the reference point for it because I'd never seen the movies, but how really thing like this, the Flood is, and how it's this like you're saying, omniscient being that's just spreading throughout the whole fucking galaxy, but then it's kind of mixed in with all these other horror elements. It's cool. It's very interesting to see how it how they use this storyline, and I didn't really think I quite understood it back in the day or appreciated it for some reason. But now I feel with all these reference points and all the things they added in, it's cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's the plot point that's kind of in the background.
Absolutely.
It's definitely there. You know about it, but I don't think you're thinking about the flood and what the flood exactly means per se in the terms of their narrative. You just know they're the enemy.
Yeah.
And I feel like even at this point in the game, I feel like the Arbiters and the Covenant story is the story. Master Chief is kind of in the background.
Yeah.
He is just there doing what he's supposed to do, but like the real story is the Arbiter sort of having a falling out with the Covenant and him going through these trials and tribulations along with his race.
Almost like a reformation.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you could call it that. So, some trivia. The term Gravemind was coined by Bungie staff Jamie Gershmeyer, who we talked about, I think, in Halo 1 at some point. The Gravemind is one of the few extraterrestrials to learn John 117's name. The Gravemind was initially going to have a much greater presence in Halo 2 and would have been introduced in the level Forerunner tank, which we mentioned last episode. That was cut. It was cut due to time constraints. Bungie removed the level and instead made a long cinematic for his introduction. I don't think this cinematic is like a step down. I think this is definitely like the best cinematic in the game. It's it's so grand, especially in the Anniversary Edition, which is the version of the game we're all playing, and I assume what everyone else is playing at this point. Like this cutscene is super cool.
Looks
and
amazing.
It kind of like it shows how wrong the Covenant is and how they're kind of like both doing the oracles and the Covenant's great journey are one and the same, and they're wrong. And Master Chief's kind of like, I have kind of the right. Master Chief's kind of the neutral character, right? He sees what the Covenant's doing, but he also is like heard what the Oracle has to say, and he's not like biased to it.
Absolutely. No, it really does seem like this is the story of the Covenant splitting into the Civil War. Like that really
it's
seems
definitely
like
what Halo 2
this is
Yes.
the like major. It's not like you're saying. It's not necessarily the human. It's like Master Chief is there, but it is really about this kind of splintering of the Covenant, which is really cool. And it is interesting to see that jump from Halo 1 to Halo 2. And even reading some of the reviews, which we'll get into later, like how people were talking about, like just the step up. It's cool. Very interesting stuff.
All right, so let's jump into this juicy set of dialogue, boys. You know your roles.
Yep.
John 117 is held in front of Gravemind's head. The head being one giant mouth made from separate parts, somewhat similar to an elite's. I am a monument to all your sins. As Gravemind talks, he breathes out flood spores. Two tentacles bring forth a struggling Thel Vadame.
Relax. I'd rather not piss this thing off.
Demon.
The Gravemind makes a loud huffing sound and indicates John 117.
This one is machine and nerve, and has its mind concluded. This one is but flesh and faith, and is the more deluded.
Kill me or release me, parasite, but do not waste my time with talk.
There is much talk, and I have listened through rock and metal and time. Now I shall talk, and you shall listen. He raises two tentacles, one wrapped around a red monitor, and the other merged with an infected prophet of regret.
Greetings. I am 2401 Penitent Tangent. I am the monitor of Installation 05.
And I am the prophet of regret, counselor host hierarch of the Covenant.
Be very pathetic when you read his lines, because he is very pathetic at this point. So let's get into a dossier on 2401 Penitent Tangent. He's the monitor of Installation 5, as he just said, although shown briefly during the encounter with the Gravemind deep in the bowels of Installation 5's library. Tangent is obviously almost identical to his brother, Guilty Spark, with the exceptions of his voice is deeper than Guilty Spark's and his eye glows red instead of blue. He behaves much like Guilty Spark does in his non-rampant state and still shows regard for protocol. According to a Forerunner artificial intelligence, Tangent neglected repairs for his installation's containment facility, resulting in several breaches by xenoform and possibly catastrophic outbreak that resulted in the organism's possession of the areas around Installation 05's library. In the Halo anniversary terminals, Penitent Tangent was the last monitor to send a status update to Guilty Spark on Installation 04, 3,000 years after the Halo event. So again, in reference, 7 to the 4th power is 2,401. He's only seen briefly in this cutscene, and that's it. And he's in a downloadable multiplayer map called Backlash for Halo 2. But this is the only time we see Penitent Tangent.
I never noticed. I didn't.
To be honest, when I was playing these games first through, I couldn't have told you all these Sparks names and stuff like that for the most part, except for 343, really.
Right, because he's in every game.
Exactly.
A reclaimer here at last. We have much to do. The facility must be activated, or we can control this outbreak.
Stay where you are. Nothing can be done until the sermon is complete.
Not true. This installation success utilization record of 2.2.
Try again.
Not true. This installation has a successful utilization record of 1.2 trillion simulated and 1 actual. It is ready to fire on demand.
Of all the objects our lords left behind, there are none so worthless than these oracles. They know nothing of the great journey.
And you know nothing of containment. You have demonstrated complete disregard for the most basic of protocols.
This one's containment. And this one's great journey are the same.
Your prophets have promised you freedom from a doomed existence, but you will find no salvation on this ring. Those who built this place knew what they wrought. Do not mistake their intent, or all will perish as they did before. At this moment, the Arbiter stops struggling against the tentacles. He stares somewhat curiously at the Gravemind.
This thing is right. Halo is a weapon. Your prophets are making a big mistake.
Your ignorance already destroyed one of the sacred rings, demon. It shall not harm another.
If you will not hear the truth, then I will show it to you. There is still time to stop the key from turning, but it must be found. You will search one likely spot, and you will search another. Fate had us meet as foes, but this ring will make us brothers. Master Chief and the Arbiter disappear into the teleportation rings, fade to black, fade in on High Charity. A swarm of Covenant ships attack each other from the outside. High Charity fade in on the walkway on the council chamber. Honor Guard brutes guard the gates from Grunt and Jackal rioters. We are all of us gravely concerned. A line of Honor Guard brutes stand at attention. Cameraman Grunt focuses on a holographic camera of truth as he delivers his propaganda, while Prophet of Mercy watches from aside. The release of the parasite was unexpected, unfortunate, but there's no need to panic. In truth, this is a time to rejoice, a moment that all Covenant should savor, raises the index. For the sacred icon has been found. With it, our path is clear. Our entry into the divine beyond guaranteed. The great journey is nigh. The Grunt notices Master Chief appearing behind him out of thin air, and nothing, not even the flood, can stop it. Master Chief looks down at the shocked Grunt. Boo. And Prophet of Truth goes, kill the demon. So yeah, this is how we start the level. Our first encounter with the brutes has begun, so let's meet the Jirohani.
Boil in your pot, demon!
The Jirohani, known by humans as brutes, are the most recent members of the Covenant. They are large, bipedal, giant, ape-like species from Doisac.
From where?
Doisac.
Doisac.
Hey, you're from... Hey, what's going on, Johnny? From Doisac?
Oh, you're from Doisac. I see. What are you doing? That's
from
wicked
Doisac?
awesome.
Was that like Australian?
It was Australian mixed with Boston.
Hey, you going to Doisac?
It's wicked awesome.
It's me, Chip Stubbo, Chief. The Jirohani have been part of the Covenant since before the destruction of the UNSC agricultural colony on a harvest, and they were resented by the Sangheili for their monomaniacal behavior. Despite the savagery and brutality, the Jirohani have proved intelligent enough to achieve spaceflight and spacefaring status, though their warlike nature meant they quickly collapsed into civil war and afterward fell back into their former pre-space status and learn nothing from the experience. What a sad life.
Sorry, just for I was curious what monomaniacal meant. And it says obsessed with a single subject or idea. Psychoneurotic. Neurotic. Affected with emotional disorder.
That's interesting.
It is. But I'm sorry, continue.
The Jiralhanae had recently concluded a mechanized war of attrition in which many fought and pummeled each other back into a pre-industrial state, which that's interesting. When the Covenant discovered them in 2492, having only just rediscovered radio and rocketry, the primitive Jiralhanae were quickly defeated and the Covenant absorbed them. The Brutes were the second Covenant species encountered by the humans following the Kigyar. This was a raid on the freighter This End Up. They were also the first Covenant species encountered by the Harvest colonial militia. The Jiralhanae's plan to seize power over the Sangheili began with their alliance with the High Prophet of Truth during the Battle of Harvest and continued to gain headway until the eventual splitting of the Covenant, which we are seeing right now. They eventually took the role of the Prophet's honor guard from the Sangheili, as we just saw, and the Sangheili failed to prevent the assassination of Regret by Master Chief. Regret's assassination culminated in the Brutes replacing the elites as the leaders in the Covenant military. Brutes are physically imposing enemies to face in combat, standing approximately 9 feet tall. They're not only tower over their human opponents, but the majority of the Covenant allies, with only hunters standing taller than themselves. They have thick gray skin and extremely resilient to battle damage. Their first appearance, they are covered in thick, shaggy fur that offers further protection. It covers most of their body except for their head and shoulder blades. However, the Brutes in Halo 2 are shaggier than those in Halo 3. Some trivia. According to First Strike, the Jiralhanae encountered by Spartan 2 personnel aboard the unyielding Hierophant in 2552. However, the Contact Harvest and Halo Wars and multiple stories in Halo Evolutions clearly indicate that the Jiralhanae encountered by humanity in general much earlier, while the package, which is a part of Halo Legends, was actually watched recently, reveals that they had been encountered by Spartan 2s as early as 2535. In the definitive edition, this was changed just to being mentioned that they were Jiralhanae on the station. So there's clearly some inconsistencies with the lore about
they went back and changed stuff. That's
interesting.
Very interesting.
I feel like that's kind of happened with a few things in the Halo lore, right? Like I feel like because when Halo 1 came out, we were assumed, I think we talked about this before, we assumed Master Chief was the only Spartan left.
Yes.
Fred and Linda were not talked about at all.
There were no Spartans.
That's what I thought. He was the last. Okay, cool.
I mean, it even said it on the back of the game.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you're the last
Halo
Spartan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just confirming.
I feel like as long series like this,
I think it's
you
completely
look at,
fine.
you look at series
yeah.
like Metal Gear or Kingdom Hearts, like you have to retcon. Like
Yeah.
you just
Just
have
at a certain
to.
point, there's certain things that
Right.
just
It's
have
like
to be.
it's
yeah.
like, hey, we want to tell this story. We need to like
And it's usually not something
rewrite.
that, it's like in retconning where the Brutes were first introduced is not going to be world breaking of any kind,
right. And like, again, like this is from Halo Wars, an anime movie, and I think a book. Like it's just like, okay, like only a select few people are gonna really know that information. In Halo 2, it is possible to find a Jiralhanae wielding a human shotgun. This is the second in-game instance of a Covenant member making use of human weaponry by default. In Halo 2, Jiralhanae blood is a darker shade of blue, while it is red with blue splotches in Halo 3. In the level Anders Signal in Halo Wars, I have no context for this. Serena identifies the Jiralhanae using the actual name of the species as well as calling them Jiralhanae. This is the first time the Covenant species' actual name is spoken in scripted dialogue.
Interessante.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that is pretty interesting that they don't use. Like, there's never any use of like the scientific name like ever.
Yeah, no.
The Sangheili gets mentioned though. Like the elites call themselves Sangheili.
Yeah.
And like sometimes
how much do they know of the Covenant speak? Like, is that the Jiralhanae? That's their own name for themselves, right?
Yeah, that's their
not like-
scientific
yes.
name. The Brutes is what the humans call them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think military terms.
Exactly. It's like
takes
it's the
more
Brutes.
time to call, less time to call them a brute or a grunt than
Than a
you know,
Jiralhanae.
A Jiralhanae, like no,
Yeah.
it's just a brute.
Hey, it's a
Or
G.
An
Unknown,
elite,
yeah.
grunt,
Yeah.
jackal. Like they're all like simple.
Yeah, basically
simple
one
words.
syllables. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So while we're fighting them, we're obviously going to pick up the brute plasma rifle here as well in this first room. The Type 25 directed energy rifle Jiralhani variant is more commonly known as the Blue Plasma Rifle and is a Covenant infantry firearm. It is a modified version of the original plasma rifle used almost exclusively by brutes. It is considerably different than its Sangheili issued counterpart. Unlike standard issue plasma rifles, the brute variant fires a weaker bolt identified by the bolt's red hue. The weapon compensates for this weakness with a higher fire rate, as well as achieving better penetration and stronger kinetic impact than its Sangheili issued counterpart. The only visual difference is the two is obviously the brute one is red. Some trivia real fast. The plasma rifle and the sentinel beam are the only weapons in Halo 2 not shown in the instruction manual.
Never knew that. I like the brute plasma rifle better.
I was just going to ask, guys.
And I dual wielded it.
Truthfully, I didn't notice a major difference.
Oh,
What do you mean?
I really it shoots faster.
I guess I did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, personally, I really didn't notice a major difference when I was using it.
Well, you're wrong.
That's fair, and I accept that.
Damn it.
But
So-
fuck you guys.
So which one do you prefer, though?
I guess again, since I like the red.
Yeah.
Just like
yeah, I
the
like
red.
the red. The cool. I did think they obviously had to do something different, and now that you're saying it, yeah, I probably did notice that there was a bit more of like a fire rate on that one. But no, I don't know. I didn't really notice so much of a difference that it made me really kind of consider which one I was picking up. Aside from, I like the red.
Honestly, I have to agree.
Yeah, like
it's red, but I started dual wielding a lot more, and it kind of shreds.
You can notice, like, if you are, I feel like now that I'm
It
thinking about it, if you're
overheats
using
a lot faster.
I
too.
do like them both together.
Yeah, both together. That's a good one.
It's a
Oh,
good,
red and
it's
blue.
Yeah, it's a cool kind of like dual wield combo. I think I like the Elite's version better. I do like the plasma rifle. It's always been like a good gun in my
Mainstay
opinion. A
for
gun
sure.
that I want to use.
Yeah.
After this encounter, we deposit Cortana in High Charity's system so that she can help us progress. We move forward to an outside area, and we see a large vista of High Charity, which Trio mentioned last episode.
I think so, yeah.
We're doing a lot of recordings today, so I forget where that fell.
Yeah.
But I think it was last episode.
When you look out,
Yeah, and you
see,
kind of see it.
does-
It looks not bad. I still
doesn't
feel
look
like for
bad.
the old graphics, really.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
of
still
course,
blown
the
away.
new one. Oh,
Yeah, so we see the High Charity, like the city,
Yeah.
actually, and then what is in the middle is the Forerunner Dreadnought known as the Anodyne Spirit. We'll talk about that later. Here we encounter a brute captain with a brute shot. We are picking up the brute shot, obviously. This is a Type 25 grenade launcher. Brute shot is a Covenant weapon favored exclusively by the brutes. The brute shot is carried and fired from the hip rather than from the shoulder. The grenades seem to be belt fed through the top of the weapon. The splash damage from this weapon is relatively small. It features, like other brute weapons, a blade on the other side, which is used as a powerful close combat weapon.
So something I noticed and people in my Discord brought up, does it like arc in Halo 2 when you shoot it? Did you notice if it like arcs or anything? Like when you shoot the
I
brute shot?
kind of did. Yeah,
But
I
like
thought
in
I
Halo
did.
3,
It's got much
completely
more.
straight.
Is it in Halo 3?
It's completely straight.
It's straight and it detonates on contact.
Yeah.
It's more like it bounces a little bit.
It has
and then-
one more shot in Halo 3. It's definitely better in Halo 3.
Absolutely.
If you think about it, you're only use it for 3 levels.
I barely picked it up. So
I tended to stay away from it.
It's better in Halo 3.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Cortana tells us that she detects Marines' IFF tags and that there are Marines being kept prisoner close by. We follow Cortana's info and make our way to High Charity's brig and free our comrades. We've seen these areas before in cutscenes toward the start of the game in the Arbiter level. After saving what Marines we can, we hear Truth's voice over the loudspeaker. Does anyone want to read Truth for me?
Sure I can. Fear not, my brothers. The sacred icon is secure. It was Tartarus and his brutes who took the icon from the flood, and for that they have our thanks. The elites have failed to protect the prophets, and in doing so they have put our lives at risk. Let no warrior forget his oath. Thou in faith shall keep us safe, whilst we find the path. With my blessing, the brutes now lead our fleets. They ask for your allegiance, and you shall give it.
We begin to see the Covenant fight each other. The first instance of this is elites fighting against drones. Brutes as well as jackals and grunts will join in the fight to usurp the elites from the hierarchy in the Covenant military. The Great Schism has begun.
Whoa.
The Great Schism, also known as the Covenant Civil War, and the Great Betrayal was a major conflict was a major conflict between the Covenant Loyalists and the Covenant Separatists. The conflict fermented on October 20th, 2552, and broke out on November 3rd, which is the day of this mission, 2552, after the changing of the guard. The Great Schism will last until December 2552, the end of Halo 3.
That's interesting.
How do you guys feel about this part, where you're Master Chief... You're kind of in the middle of this whole fucking thing that has nothing to do with
He really does
you.
feel like a secondary character.
No, yeah, it's true. Like, you just see all this fighting happening, and you're just like, well, I can kind of just slip on by. Not really, like, absolutely.
Right.
It's interesting.
Right. I think there's a lot of slipping by on this level. Like, you can easily walk past a lot of encounters because...
And you could take them all out if you want.
because there are a ton of brutes and elites and jackals and grunts and all the other Covenant species fighting each other all at the same time.
I really feel like they kicked up the ante on just the amount of weapons you can find in this level. Like, I mean, I know it's all a Covenant weapon, but like you're finding beam rifles all the time. Everyone's running around with fuel rod cannons, carbines. God, I love the carbines.
I love the carbines.
So do you
too.
like the Covenant weapons better than the humans just because
Yes.
they're kind of different?
No,
honestly.
absolutely. And like, I think like we're truly bringing in all these Covenant weapons was, I feel like, a major game changer in this one specifically, and being able to kind of flesh out their arsenal was a lot of fun. And I find that they're mostly more fun to use than their human counterparts, especially like the beam rifle.
Specifically because there's no battle was it the SMG that replaced the assault rifle?
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'd much
feel
rather
like
have an assault rifle in my hand than an SMG.
Absolutely.
That's why I lean towards the plasma rifle.
Yep.
It feels really good. So
I'm with you 1,000%.
I can kind of agree with you there. It's it's an SMG. It's a smaller gun. The assault rifle, I feel like there you just say that and you understand what you mean. Like it does, like explaining it further kind of makes
tough.
it weird.
Yeah,
but
it's a feel thing almost. Yeah.
we travel to an outside area where we battle various groups of Covenant loyalists and separatists, weaving in and out of combat as we progress towards the mausoleum of the Arbiter, amidst the civil conflict that has plagued High Charity. During this, we witness In Amberclad jump out of slipspace and crash lands. We get to the mausoleum, where the most infamous part of this game occurs. If
Absolutely.
You're playing in the normal graphics. Blow Me Away by Breaking Benjamin cues up, and you're like, holy shit, what's going on?
Where am I?
In the anniversary version, just like in the level The Arbiter, Misha Mansour of Periphery fame, his song Breaking the Covenant plays here instead of Blow Me Away. But
Damn it.
I remember in playing this level in Halo 2, I was playing with Mike Lasacci, and I was over his house, and I think we decided to play the game in one go.
Yeah,
And we got to this level, and we were like so hyped to hear.
Blow me away, man.
Yeah, break. Only the strongest will survive. Yeah.
I do like breaking the I do like the cover.
It's
that
so good. Yeah.
That Misha Mansour did. Sorry,
Yeah.
I kind of played in the anniversary for this part. I was like, yeah, I have it in my Spotify playlist. To hear it enough.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Do you guys like this kind of big fight?
Yeah.
I thought it
in
was
the
awesome.
mausoleum?
I
Yeah.
remember this. Yeah, I remember this pretty specifically from this game. Actually, like,
Yeah, this was one of the more memorable parts.
Absolutely.
Specifically, honestly, for the song, really. Like every time I hear the song, it reminds me of this part in Halo 2.
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So we move past the mausoleum of the Arbiter. Cortana says, "This isn't good. I'm getting confirmed reports of flood leaving In Amberclad's wreckage. Let's get to the index and find a way out of here before things get really ugly."
I can be truth.
I'll be Tartarus.
All right.
Please. Tartarus and his brutes take Keys and Johnson and 343 Guilty Spark towards a platform where the prophets of truth and mercy wait for them with 3 phantoms.
Split them up, one in each phantom.
3 brutes do so rather brutishly. Okay. Thanks, Halo Wiki, for that one. Keys notices In Amberclad in the tower before being pushed into the Phantom. The 2 Phantoms take off. Tartarus kneels before the prophets.
The hopes of all the Covenant.
No, truth is
He's more serious.
Truth is-
Sorry.
yeah.
yeah.
The hopes of all the Covenant rest on your shoulders, chieftain.
Prophet of Truth hands Tartarus the index.
My faith is strong. I will not fail.
Infection forms spring up and rush them. The brutes spot them and they get ready. The honor guards throw their spikes aside and stomp on several of them. Tartarus flattens one with his fist of Rook. The brutes manage to shoot or crush most of them, but one gets through and lodges itself to Mercy's throat, knocking him off his throne. Ah!
Let him be.
Tartarus turns to Truth in surprise.
The great journey waits for no one, brother. Not even you.
The Prophet of Truth boards the Phantom, and the Honor Guard brutes follow immediately, but Tartarus hesitates at the dying Prophet of Mercy. He looks at the index, makes his decision, and turns away from Mercy. End level.
So they just don't, like, why did he do that?
I think because Truth realizes Mercy is just weak.
Yeah.
A weak link in the chain, and he doesn't give a shit about him. Like, it's pretty clear that Truth is running the show
Absolutely, yeah.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I guess that does show even, like the brutes are just as in on the, and we kind of see this in later cutscenes as to how kind of fanatical they are about it. But, they are all really committed to this crazy shit. Like, I didn't realize how,
it goes back to what you looked up. I mean,
no, it's absolutely. And I just didn't, I guess I didn't realize, I don't know why, I guess I assumed back in the day when I was playing that the prophets, knew what they were doing. But it really does seem like...
No, I think they know what they're doing, but...
Well, do you think they know for, they don't think they're going to die, right? That's the whole thing what I'm gathering.
But they know they're being malicious about it.
No, absolutely. But they fully believe they're
it.
going on this great journey or whatever.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Right. They're not bullshitting the brutes because they're lying. They think
truly
right.
believe that this is right. Yes, correct. Okay.
And I think that's the moment where Tartarus kind of shows some
a little bit of
I guess in
yeah.
ironicism, humanity.
Yeah.
Like he looks at him and he's like, yeah, like we're part of the covenant, but I'm following truth. Like I follow truth, even though we're part of the covenant, we're part of the same brotherhood. I'm gonna follow what he says.
No, it's true, but and he does seem to think about it a little bit though. In that he's like, oh, he's gonna leave behind one of the prophets.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
what would he do?
maybe
And again, let's paint the context for this. We're at the High Charity, the capital of the Covenant. There's a civil war going on, and now on top of things, the flood has been released onto the city of High Charity, which has probably a shit. Maybe we said the number. There's a shit ton of people living here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like. Which is I think something I wish we had context for, seeing people actually living here. We just see the military structures and the higher up stuff. We don't really know.
We don't know what the civilian life on that installation is. Yeah.
Yeah. So paint that context. I mean, we're gonna spoiler alert. High Charity becomes a fucking flood
zone
homeworld
Yeah.
like in Halo 3. We're gonna come back here at the end of Halo 3, and it's gonna obviously be strikingly different. But yeah, there's the Covenant is this is the beginning of the end for the Covenant. This whole Great Schism is probably the reason why the Covenant just
falls
loses
or disentegrates basically.
Right, like the elites turn on them.
Defects basically or whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to call.
They it's funny. Halo 3 happens a few hours from now, so think about. I mean, we're probably going to bring it up when we get to Halo 3. Think about the Arbiter's switch from the Covenant to helping the Marines. It's only within a few hours from now that he finds Chief after he falls from High Charity, and Chief goes to put the gun to his head, and Johnson's like, no, he's with us.
Yeah.
And then I forget what Johnson says, but I know Arbiter goes, where it's so easy.
I love that.
And he says it at the end of the game too. It's a great.
Love it.
There's some good ass
great dialogue. Yeah,
only 4 words, and he's like, yeah.
So you just hit it. Yeah.
So that's the end of Gravemind
Terminal.
Almost forgot.
Let me get to it.
Termy.
But this terminal opens with a prophet scribe talking about the Ungoi and how they were forced into the Covenant and held captive. It talks about an Ungoi rebellion and how they had a pretty nasty relationship with the Kigyar, the Jackals. They hated each other. The Jackals had tried to sterilize the Ungoi population at one point, causing the Grunts to become even more violent and start attacking other species, elites, everything. Elites even struggled against them due to their numbers and tenacity. Prophets then sent an arbiter to glass the Ungoi homeworld. Those that survived in High Charity were spared and joined the Covenant. Obviously, they didn't have anywhere to go, and it ends with the terminal ends with a grunt looking, and he's just a tear. going down his eye, man. So
Poor
sad.
grunts.
Poor grunts.
The goofy goober's here. So were some of the grunts fighting with the elites though?
Yes.
They
Some-
were. So
They
some
were
were.
forced. They were forced into the covenant. at
No,
one
no,
point.
no, I know.
No, he's
Like
talking
during the
about-
schism, because like when I'm fighting,
I'm
because
sorry.
when you're going through, you see some that attack you. I feel like, or I guess you see some attacking elites while others are not. At least maybe I was noticing that, or maybe I wasn't noticing them, or I was imagining things. But I don't know. It seemed like some were fighting elites while some were also fighting with with them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they just split either way.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you if.
But the
majority
jackals were
defect.
definitely with the brutes.
brutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
Some hunters defect. We'll see
Yeah, I
that
see, yeah.
in Uprising. Some hunters will go to the I think all the other all the other races except the jackals and the drones split. But yeah, and the engineers don't really have a choice in the matter. They don't. They don't
They're like,
really
we're
talk.
here. Yeah.
The next level is Uprising, which is occurring the same time as Gravemind. So let's go backwards in time a little bit. Uprising is the 13th campaign level of Halo 2. As the Arbiter, the player must battle their way through Loyalist Covenant enemies to rendezvous with Taz Vamundi. I'll never get it right. Along the way, they will receive some aid from some other Covenant separatists. Arbiter literally just walks out of a portal on some random location. We are close to Delta Halo's control room for context. First thing to note, if you haven't noticed already, even on easy, the brutes are fucking really hard.
Dude,
Yeah.
I was ripping into these things. I'm like, what is happening? You have to even with an energy sword, it's like 3 swipes.
Yeah.
Per brute. I'm like, what the fuck
and
is happening?
they'll one shot you. They'll one shot you on normal. So I would go and swing with the sword, and another one would just come and.
But even
down, I'm dead.
the weird thing that was super inconsistent for me was the headshots. Because I was knocking off their helmet, and then sometimes I'd shoot them 5 times and they die in the head. Then other times I'd shoot them one more time in the head once the helmet was off and they died. So I don't know. It was very weird.
I will say the carbine is definitely the most consistent. I feel
That's what
for
I found
taking out a
too.
brute.
But even with the sniper rifle,
Yeah.
the beam rifle, I was having issues. I don't know.
I think this is a byproduct of end of development. We didn't balance this right.
Yeah.
They're only in 4 levels.
The way they fucking rush you, man. Assholes.
The brutes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, after you kill when the one left. Oh
he's
yeah.
like, "Rah." Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, when there's one left, they
interesting.
berserk.
Yeah, they're only in 4 levels. So I feel like obviously in Halo 3 there are much different enemy types
Sure.
in this game. And I feel like in Halo 3 I like their look better. Maybe we can talk about that here.
I'm curious,
I feel like in this game they are very much like Wookiee looking things. Like they have the leather
shaggy,
strap, they're shaggy as hell.
They look more like big gorillas in some ways, even. I feel, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but in Halo 3, I feel like they're still ape looking, but they act a little bit they just look cooler. One, they have armor on most of the time, and 2, I feel like they act a little bit differently. But right when you knock their armor off, they do the rage thing and they come in and try to get you. I'm glad we're on the same page with the brutes, though. They're on easy. I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's what I'm like. Yeah,
3 stripes to the energy swords. It's just I'm like,
insane.
Why
Why do you need? Yeah,
Why aren't you
yeah,
dying?
literally.
The elite. We're kind of going down this path, and we get some elite reactions to the betrayal. Sangheili says the brutes have betrayed us, the counselors, and he's talking about the higher ups in the Sangheili. Another elite says, "By the prophets, what have these brutes done? They have shed our brother's blood, and for that they must die." A zealot, "Make haste! There are more brutes to kill." So they're clearly, they question it, but they're clearly they're all the elites are against these guys.
Everyone's immediately like, "Fuck them."
None of them are
we're hanging around.
Yeah. We're
all on the same page.
We're fucking.
We're better
fighting
than
back.
them, and we know it. As
Yeah.
Bobo Jim would say.
Nice. Nice. We're joined by various elites, grunts, and even hunters. The Arbiter makes his way through Delta Halo structures and control room facilities, killing any brute in sight. There's a stretch of the area where we must board a ghost to more easily navigate the vast terrain of Halo. We eventually reach a lower portion of the area where we enter a waterfall basin-looking area where our terminal is for this area or level.
Okay. So this one opens with 343 saying he doesn't think the elite species is Sangheili. they're very smart. He says, in all this time, in 400 years, it never occurred to anyone how convenient it was that the prophets always found a powerful, capable leader who would always commit a terrible blasphemy every time the power structure of the covenant was threatened. Oracle then looks back on all the records that him and Sesa have discussed about the Arbiter. He said that those chosen to be Arbiter were more than just simple warriors. They all had significant political influence among the elites. And in some cases, their influence was already being used to question the prophets, in which that led to charges of heresy against them. Once they were branded Arbiter, basically they were sent to their death. That was the whole point of the Arbiter, a death sentence.
Wow. Well, and so was it to basically die in battle? Or would you literally just
Die
be... Yeah,
during
like,
the
we're going to be... It's like the Suicide Squad. We're going to
Yes.
put you on this fucking mission that you're probably not going to come back from. Most of the time, yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
There is an armory area with like a bunch of weapons like right after this.
I
to the
did
left.
notice that, yeah.
Yeah,
a bunch of
there's-
I
human
was
weapons.
expecting are we gonna fight Tartarus soon? Like, is that what this is? And then no, it was just
It's just like this, like stockpile
stacked
of
armor,
shit. Yeah. Shipmaster exits the last door. So this is end of the level. Shipmaster exits the last door. A wraith approaches him slowly. Arbiter readies his weapon. The lid opens to reveal, "Hey, it's me, your buddy Shipmaster."
I'm back. I lived.
by the rings, Arbiter, the counselors of a
Murdered by the brutes.
vile, disloyal beasts. The prophets were fools to trust them.
Alternately on higher difficulties.
Vile, insolent beasts. The prophets were fools to trust them.
They see phantoms fly over them. It stops above the platform of Delta Halo's control room. Tartarus lands from the grav lift with Commander Miranda Keys and 343 Guilty Spark in captivity. Tartarus greets the Jirohani guards with growls. He enters the door and closes behind him. That is the end of Uprising. And we are finally here. The end of Halo 2. But Trio, that's for next time.
It absolutely is Gooch. This has been a lot of fun on this, 11th episode of our Halo journey. The 6th, right, of Halo 2?
Yes.
Correct? Awesome. Well, we're making our way through slowly but surely. We got one more for Halo 2 coming at you very soon. But for now, you can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. You can find us on our social medias at Delco Nerds. We have a nice Discord where we talk about Halo. We talk about I don't want to double up here. Batman. We talk about Deathstroke. Maybe even a little bit of
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. And who is that guy?
Ritlock. Wait,
And Ritlock
Ritlock Brimstone from Guild Wars 2.
From Guild Wars 2. Ritlock brings some from Guild Wars 2. So come on and hang out with us in that fun Discord. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. You can even shoot us an email, delconerds@gmail.com. We're trying to be better about checking that out. But we definitely would like to see some feedback there. But in the meantime, for Gooch, for Chris, I've been Trio. Thanks for listening, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.